Hello Internet, Kris here with Ellie Rubin at nextMEDIA in Banff. Ellie was moderating today's panel on Canada's top digital media innovators. Can you tell us a little bit about the panel?
First of all, it was fantastic. I loved being in the seat asking the questions instead of answering them.
Definitely.
We had people from 4 key categories: romance, talking, socializing, and blogging.
Right.
All of them amazing success stories, and each of them had completely different models, but the key was that they're all about communities, which in my world is what really matters and what's going to be the winners in the long run.
The sites that focus around community and really engage with the people is the direction you see things going?
Yeah, we talked a lot about the trust that your audience has with your site or your property or your online presence, and if you don't have the same values as the site that you're at, you're not going to come back.
What are some of the key ways you think that people are out there creating trust with people online?
Well, some of the examples that they gave today on the social network side for Nextopia, this is a site for social networking for young people. And for young people, he's saying, you know, it isn't like going out there and throwing a net out and seeing who you can meet. It's more like going to a party. So it's already like a selective group of people. And that to me is already an editor's version of socializing. When it comes to blogs, it's the same thing. They've chosen bloggers that they think have real passion about their topics. They're experts about their topics. And so you already have an editor, in a sense, which is the network, that's saying these are the bloggers, the 350 that we think are the most interesting.
Ellie is a best-selling author and motivational speaker, travels around lots and lots. Talk to me a little bit about innovation here in Canada. Where do you see, is Canada an innovative place? Is it a good place to innovate? Tell me a little about the landscape.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I'm biased in both ways. I'm Canadian, but when we had our software company in the Silicon Valley, our jumping off point was outside of Canada.
Right.
And I have to say that I think some of the best innovation comes out of Canada, but I'm not seeing an aggressive enough support in terms of the money that's coming to these companies and the structure that's coming to these companies.
Is this a private sector issue or a government issue?
I think it's a private sector issue.
So you want to see more private sector money come to Canada?
Yeah. And I want to see venture groups really putting out for these companies that have amazing ideas. It's a volumes game. So in the States you have so many more people, you don't have to be half as good. They usually are, and it's not a comparison of who's better, but they're getting a head start and they're getting a jump start that in some ways in Canada, even though some of the ideas are way ahead, they're falling behind on the timeline.
I'm American, capitalist, free market economy. My training says to me that if there was companies in Canada doing awesome things and changing the world online, that the money would flow to them. Like venture capitalists aren't excluding Canada because of our geography or nationality. So what is it that's really keeping venture capitalists from stepping up to the table, or maybe what is it that's keeping Canadian entrepreneurs and innovators from looking at markets bigger than the Canadian regional one?
I have to say, having been right in that place where we started as a very small Canadian company, went out, raised 30 million, and went on a world stage, it is an attitudinal issue. Canadians are reticent to be aggressive and assertive as much as their counterpoints south of the border. And it's a bit of a cultural issue, it's a bit of an upbringing, and I think that it's time to shed that and to really put a stake in the ground and say, when you're out there right at the edge and being an innovator, promoting it to the maximum, really pushing that envelope and asking for what you need. And if you can't get it in your particular geography, having the guts to go out and get it elsewhere.
Right. I think that's some great advice to young Canadian innovators and entrepreneurs and stuff. So a couple personal questions. How do you use the internet? What do you do online?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I'm about to actually do my own internet television production, and I was listening to some of the things this morning, and how many Facebook hits you get, and do you Twitter, and do you this, and do you Ning, and all this stuff, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm like the old guard. Like, I get other people to do stuff for me. Like, this is not good. I need to really, get out there a little more. So I use it for research all the time.
Yeah.
I ask other people to do that for me.
So Google's your number one website?
Google, definitely. Yeah. I do use Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, depending on who I'm trying to research.
What do you do on Facebook?
I actually look for people. Like if I want to find out about someone or I want to get some different insight on them, I'll Google them. I'll then Facebook. I'll also ask around for people in that industry and say, in your industry, what would you go with? Like, is it LinkedIn? Maybe that's a better one. Or is it MySpace? Or is there some other industry blog that I should be looking at? So again, I do combine the face time with the digital time, and I am a big proponent of that. it's sort of like my own worst enemy, but it actually is the editor role that gives me the little piece of information that you can't always get just by searching.
Right. Okay, so no one's really listening. Don't worry about this guy over here. Do you have an online guilty pleasure?
No.
Come on.
I don't.
Are you a shopper? Are you a shopper?
No, I don't do any online
Are you an online dater?
I'm not. I gotta think about this. I mean, no, I think my very guilty pleasure is like looking at places that I would travel to if I had all the time and money in the world.
Okay, so a little bit of fantasy,
a little bit of fantasy. I definitely go for the visuals. Definitely go for put myself in that postcard, see if I could be there. But God, I sound so boring. I like reading books and going to movies.
You guys are talking to real people. And,
I am. I have to say, my guilty pleasure is actually asking people too many questions and getting the real goods.
Right.
And one of the things that I'm going to do in my own online property is I'm going to be able to do that online, and I'm not going to rely on things like search engines and other people's version. I'm still going to have that FaceTime with people, even if it's online.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks a lot for doing the interview.
You're welcome.
Signing off from Banff with Ellie Rubin.
Goodbye.
Over and out, Internet.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.